Welcome back to pixelprojectradio. This is part 4, the finale of our Final Fantasy Tactics analysis. This has been a heck of a ride. I've had a lot of fun. This is a good game. Chris from A Novel Console and Consoles and Stuff is here with us today, and of course Nomad from the Retro Wildlands joining again. How's it going, fellas?
Is going fantastic. This is it, gentlemen. All roads lead to this. This is going to be great. It's good to see you guys again.
I cannot believe we got here. It feels like we just started and we're already at the end. It's great.
I know. So, I thought we could talk about a few things up top before we jump in. First of all, let's talk remaster a little bit. Chris, have you had a chance to play the remaster at all?
I have not. I went a week or so ago. I told you guys, because you were both on the remaster train. I told you guys that I went to buy a Nintendo Switch 2 case, a carrying case, and I ended up buying the remaster, and I scanned it into my Game Eye, put it into my collection, put it in the shelf, and I never opened it.
Well, I think you're going to like it. Nomad, I know you have jumped in a little bit. I've completed Chapter 1 so far, and as much as I hate to admit it, I don't like to be the guy that's like, oh yeah, the newest version is the best. I think it's the definitive way to play. It's exactly what I wanted it to be in the first place, the PS1 version, just with the script from War of the Lions. You know, mainly because the cutscenes are in the diorama form, which I just have such a soft spot for. But I don't know, everything is so much cleaner and smoother. The fast-forward option's there. The turn-based menu is way more accessible. You get to choose whenever you do random battles, both fleeing and starting. I don't know. I think it's so good.
Yeah, 100% agree. I almost don't like being the guy that's like, oh yeah, play the remaster. It cleans up all the things with all the quality of life improvements and things like that. But they really did a great job with this, and I've had a blast playing it. And yeah, the fast forward feature is probably worth the price alone, just because back in the day when I'd play this game, I had all this time to play it and experiment and things like that, but I'd have to slog through a lot of different battles. Fast forward lets you go through that and really focus on the things that you want to do, but it's a fantastic experience. The voice acting really does it for me too, although I'm sure you probably feel this way too, Rick. The battle chirps, they get a little old sometimes, or when you go in and out of a shop and you have to make different selections, the shopkeeper and the innkeeper really want to talk to you, and that can be a little grating, but that is a minor gripe in the grand scheme. I'm very happy with this version.
Yeah, the battle shouts aren't nearly as prevalent as I thought they were going to be, so it's not a huge deal. Yeah, the voice acting is okay. I mean, it's good. I haven't had any issues with it so far. We'll see. I mean, I always feel like with video games, I'm always wanting more. Like, I just want more energy and more intensity from, like, animated voiceover. I don't know. That's just a me thing. And that leads me into my next little fun question. Where does this rank for you guys? In other words, what's your top 3 Final Fantasy games? What are your top 3 Final Fantasy games? Subject, verb, agreement. I know how to do that.
Oh boy. Nomad, you first.
So if we're talking just our personal favorites, the ones that we really like, it's going to sound crazy to some, I think, but my number one will always be Final Fantasy VII, and I acknowledge the fact that that is pure nostalgia. I grew up with that game. It was the very first game that I bought with my own money, etc. So it'll always be the top spot. But right behind that is Final Fantasy IX. I was fortunate enough to play Final Fantasy IX last year. I was blown away by it. I was so mad at myself for waiting so long to play that game. And by the time I did, it catapulted itself near the top of my list. It's a great game. And then, in all honesty, Final Fantasy Tactics has always been steady at number 3. And that was even before we had gotten together to go down this journey together. Like, it's always been like that unique Final Fantasy experience that I can't get enough of. And now that I'm replaying it, this just reaffirms that this game is a top tier Final Fantasy game, period, point blank. Even if it's not a mainline entry, fight me, I dare you.
I love the Final Fantasy IX love. I'm always here for it.
Absolutely.
What about you, Chris?
So I'm going to say that I'm going to have to alternate first place between Final Fantasy VI and Final Fantasy Tactics. depending on what day it is, where the moon is, if Mercury is in the microwave. I would say that Final Fantasy Tactics is my favorite, or Final Fantasy VI. So I guess those are interchangeable between first and second place. This question is very hard because I've dabbled in a lot of Final Fantasies, but I've never finished a lot of them. I do know that 10 is at the bottom of the ladder.
Ooh.
But I would have to say that the duology so far of Final Fantasy VII, the remake,
nice,
has to be at number 3. Because those two games, as bloated as they are still fantastic. They are so freaking good. Everything from the voice acting to the presentation, the set pieces, the fleshing out of certain events and characters and all that is just masterfully done. I think it's so well done, as bloated as the games are.
I have not had the pleasure. I have started Remake Part 1 like 3 times, and it's just never stuck. I'm gonna give it a go through for sure.
I am gonna tell you right now, 7 Remake is not great until you get into the end game. The end game, I want to say, is about 15 to 10 hours long. And that's when it really ramps up and you start seeing that it's something completely different from what the original was. So you're probably going to have to get to the end of the game so that you can actually like it.
Interesting. Can't wait. Listeners at this point probably know mine. Number 1, Final Fantasy IX, of course. My favorite game of all time. And then, in no order, 2 and 3, Final Fantasy Tactics has jumped up there, no question. And Final Fantasy X too, all day, every day. That's right, I like it more than 10, I like it more than 7. We'll do it on the show eventually one day. I do have an essay on it. It went okay. So that brings us into another thing I wanted to talk about super quickly before we jump into side quests. Last week I did a clarification on translation, and I went down a rabbit hole and realized, I could probably do a clarification on the clarification. It sent me down a whole rabbit hole of accents and pitch accents and stress accents, and the long and short of it is I was right, but like at a broad overview kind of a level. It gets so in-depth, like stress accents changing vowel shape, and the different patterns of pitch accents in Japanese. And like Japanese also doesn't have vowel shapes like English does. Like record and record, those vowel shapes are totally different. Whereas, Japanese, the syllables are what they are. They're never going to sound different. It's part of what makes that language so logical. But it's just a fascinating rabbit hole if you're interested in linguistics at all. Super interesting. I learned some stuff about English too. Really cool. Also, speaking of translations, I was thinking about how much I don't like the title for Chapter 4, Someone to Love. I don't like pop references in my games. I don't like pop culture. There are a couple in Lunar that made me smile, but like, I don't know. It's like Wheaties is in there. I'm pretty sure either Bill Clinton or Monica Lewinsky has a joke in there. It's just too much, man. I'm not into it.
There's some Monica Lewinsky joke in Final Fantasy Tactics?
No. In Lunar. Lunar Silver Star Story. And like Wheaties too. I think ABBA is referenced a couple times in there. It's just too much. But I was thinking about that with the title of Chapter 4. So I was able to find the title just of Chapter 4. I couldn't find the rest of them in Japanese. And I hate pronouncing Japanese on mic. It's Ai ni Subete o, which roughly translates to like love for all, like love for it all, love for everything. Which, like, if you think about it from Delita's perspective, Delita's arc, this is his final stand. It's everything he's doing is for love, and Ramza too. Everything he's doing is for the love of his sister, and I just think that's such a better title than Someone to Love.
I'm 100% agree, and I'm actually glad you brought this up because I was thinking that the other night as I was trudging my way through Chapter 4, and it just, I don't know, just a funk just didn't sit right with how that was worded. But this makes much more sense. So thank you for this. I feel better having heard it.
Yeah, someday I'll be proficient enough in Japanese to play through it. I don't like pronouncing Japanese on air. I know I'm not good at it, and I know. Oh man, I'm gonna get Nihongo Jozu so hard one day. I just know it. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. I thought it was interesting. So you fellas want to talk about side quests and side characters?
I am all about it. There is a lot of cool side characters in this game, so let's do a side quest of our own.
Yeah, you guys have a few certain characters that I didn't have.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel kind of bad, Chris. You don't have nearly as much side content as we do in the War of the Lions version.
No, and I tried to do the one with the one character, and it I don't know if it glitched out, but it wouldn't spawn. So that was fun.
Which character is that again?
Cloud. So I got the whole scene where Cloud shows up and he runs away. But I went to the place where he was supposed to be at. I actually visited the entire map and nothing happened. So no event, no nothing. I guess I was locked out of getting Cloud.
That's strange. That is weird. Let's talk about Cloud. First, to get Cloud to spawn, I think it's in Dorter, but I could be wrong. You have to go to a city and you see Aerith there. I think it's canonically her because she's called that by a group of thugs. But you have to buy a flower from her for 1 gil. They make a cute little reference to Final Fantasy VII. And then eventually, like you said, Chris, you find Cloud wandering in this city. He's got amnesia, and you have to help him fight off these goons. Joke's on us, though. Cloud doesn't really fight. He just runs away because he doesn't have his weapon at the moment. And what you have to do is you have to... and I should say he gets summoned like out of the ether by Mustadio's dad with his like fancy technology from the underground. It's pretty funny. Nobody knows why he's here. Time travel shenanigans. But once you fight the folks off, he'll join your party. He's kind of useless. He just, I don't know. Did either of you try to use him? He takes so much time to build up to be useful. Not to mention you have to actually go out of your way to find his materia blade, which is hidden on top of a volcano. Like you need the treasure hunting ability to find it. It's just a whole process, and I did it, and I got pissed off because he comes in at level 1. You would really need to try to make him worth your while.
Yeah, I played a lot with Cloud, and of course when I played when I was younger, having come off of Final Fantasy VII, seeing Cloud in Final Fantasy Tactics was like just amazing to me at the time, so it did not bother me in the slightest that he came into your game at level 1 and needed a specific sword. I totally overlooked it, but yes, it is very, very time-consuming to bring him up to speed, although as much as I love Final Fantasy VII and that world, nostalgia and all that, if you put a decent amount of time into Cloud, I think he can be quite useful depending on how you spec out your party and what you want to do, but he's almost a little niche in that sense. Like, his abilities, he actually uses like his different limit breaks from the games, like Cross Slash and Braver and things like that, but they're more just fancy magic spells, and to really get the most out of Cloud, you have to focus on raising his magic attack, which is kind of counter what you would think you would want to do with spiky-haired guy with giant buster sword, right? But if you can spec out his magic a little higher, and also make up for his speed deficit, he's kind of slow when you start, and his abilities require charging, kind of like you're casting magic. They can take 1 to 7, 8 different turns before they actually get fired off. If you can put time into that, and there's even a time mage skill called, I think in the PlayStation 1 version it was called Short Charge. I can't remember what they called it in War of the Lions, but it reduces the time for charge attacks or spells. If you put that on him, increase his speed, he becomes pretty formidable, and he's actually fairly useful, but it is a huge time investment, and it really depends on if you want to go down that rabbit hole or not. Some, yes, I think it's great if you do, but I don't think you're missing out if you decide to put Cloud on the bench.
Yeah, I agree. Chris, I know you said it bugged out this time. Have you ever used Cloud in the past?
I had not. I knew that there was a way to get him, but I didn't know that the whole quest involved chasing down Zodiac stones so that you could summon him.
In the remastered version, it's worth noting that Cloud does not start at level 1. He starts very high, and his materia blade is already equipped on him, so you don't have to go find it. So I thought that was nice.
Oh, yeah, that is definitely a huge plus.
That is a quality of life improvement I will put my hat on.
Yes.
Let's so the rest of them are largely just on the PSP. I don't want to spend too much time on these, so let's just do a quick a quick roundup, and whatever folksy phrase you want to use. Let's talk about some of these. I think the first one folks will encounter is Beowulf, and his quest is tied to Race, the dragon lady. You just find him in a pub. He asks you to help him rescue his friend Race. Of note here, this is something I wanted to mention. You have to do like 3 battles on a mountain to get into the cavern where Race is being held as a dragon. The mountain fights are way more difficult than the room that she's in. It is kind of insane. It took me a long time.
Yeah, I like the different battles that led to this, but I was not having fun getting to this point either.
No, it was tough. Beowulf is pretty strong if you put some work into him. I was a bit disappointed with Reyes. She joins you as a dragon. You don't know that she's a human at first, but then Beowulf asks you to come with him on another quest. You go through another little dungeon, and at the end of it, she's transformed back into a human. Her attacks, I'm pretty sure she turns into a dragon. I honestly never used either of them very much. I used Beowulf for like once in the party, but Race's skills are just dragon scale or dragonkin or something. So that's pretty cool. I would have rather just had her as a dragon.
When you get her as a dragon, originally it asks you if you want to add the dragon to the party, and I thought about saying no. So I probably would have been locked out of that character.
Oh, wait, are these two in the PS1 edition?
Yes, they are.
Oh, my bad. I didn't know.
Actually, I think they're necessary to get Cloud, if I'm not mistaken.
That's
interesting.
Yeah, that sounds right. I think through this journey you get a hold of a Zodiac Stone that you need to either activate the machine that brings Cloud or get you a step closer to it.
I gotcha.
Yeah, I think so. It's either the machine, they activate for the machine to get Cloud or to activate the robot. Although I think I had the robot by that point.
So Construct 8 is in your game as well?
Yes.
Man, I should have done a little more looking into this.
And he blew up Mustadio to hell.
Yeah, Construct 8 is another one. You need Mustadio to get a bunch of these folks, so if you don't recruit him or he dies, sorry for your luck. Construct 8, I think you find him with Mustadio's dad again, and you summon a robot out. And it plays out with a really funny scene between Ramza and Mustadio, who are like a great comedy duo. They're like, give it a command, because he comes out and he's like, "You're my master now," in a robot voice. And Ramza doesn't know what to say, so he's like, dance? And the robot starts dancing. It's pretty funny. And then Mustadio's like, come on, you could do better than that. So he says, Construct 8, eliminate Mustadio. At which point he just fucking murks Mustadio. He takes him down. And Ramza's doing the like cartoon Looney Tunes, like jumping up and down, like, oh my God, so get out the Phoenix Down. Where's the Phoenix Down? It's pretty good.
That's one animation used for that one particular scene, and we have never seen it before, and we will never see it again.
Right, yeah, those bespoke animations, they're everywhere. Construct 8, he's super slow, but he's super strong. I used him once, and then he took his place on the bench forever.
Yep, same here.
Two that I know are exclusive to War of the Lions are Luso, from FF Final Fantasy Tactics A2, which I think we talked about him when we encountered him. Pretty sure. So we can maybe scoot past him. And Balthier from Final Fantasy 12. This is pretty sick because he gets his own cutscenes. It's the voice actor playing his part. I might insert some lines here.
2 heretics instead of 1. Rum luck, I say. We'll claim the bounty for them both.
Oh, you'll have your reward for finding me. And don't think about running off without collecting. My shot is faster, and my name's not Balthier.
He's just so cool. He's such a good voice actor too. I really liked it. And Mustadio, he's not like amazing, but I used him more than a couple times in Endgame because, he's a ranged fighter. He's got decent movement, and he's got a skill called Barrage that lets him basically just attack 4 times in a row. It's pretty cool.
He's so cool.
That's good to know. I think as many times as I played this game, I've never gotten to that point with him, so maybe I'll have to bring him back in.
So is he in the remake?
He is. No, he's not. The War of the Lions stuff in the remaster is not included because the original team from War of the Lions aren't involved.
Ah, gotcha.
Yeah. Mustadio's cool, though. Who else? Who are we forgetting? There's a couple that join us in this episode through the story. Oh, there's one character that I was completely unaware of, Byblos.
Oh, right. Byblos. He is I think a literal demon that you can recruit at the end of the optional dungeon, Midlight's Deep, or also known as Deep Dungeon on the PlayStation version. I never used him before, couldn't say a word about him.
Yeah, I didn't want to do this optional dungeon. I can't remember if it's 5 or 10 floors, but it's hard. It's tough stuff. You can't see the floor without there being like a monster or player crystal, which I admit is a very cool gimmick. But I mean, I was already like 60 plus hours deep into the game, and I wanted to see the end because it was exciting. So unfortunately, we can't speak to that. There is only one other side quest I wanted to mention, and I know we're forgetting a couple, but you can see a little cutscene with Mustadio and Agrias on Agrias's birthday, where he like sees her drinking at the pub and he goes in, he's all embarrassed, and Ramza's like, "Come on, man!" He's like hyping him up like a wingman, and he gives her some lip rouge, and he's all bashful about it. He's like, "Oh well, I know you don't have time to take care of your appearance, but I thought you would like it, like it's ladylike stuff." And she accepts it, and she's very thankful. It's a cute little scene. My man Mustadio, he's got the hots for her.
I forgot all about that until you mentioned that. I saw that once when I played it as a kid, and I really wish they'd have done something with that. It was a nice, just kind of a one-time thing, but I don't know. This game can be bleak as hell sometimes, and it'd be nice to see a little more scenes like that, I think, but it was cool for what it was.
Yeah, it's neat. I think you have to be in one specific place on her birthday, so it's tough to organize, but pretty cool. Okay, so without further ado, why don't we go ahead and jump back into the story where we left off. Chapter 4, In the Name of Love. No, somebody to love. So we left off last time, we covered the intro, and we left off with Delita's confession to Ramza saying that he is to assassinate Duke Goltana and Count Orlandu. He says the following.
Groups such as the Corpse Brigade, ill-contented with the crown and the nobility, are in no short supply. The church only fans rebellion's flame. The people tire of war, and their disdain for the crown waxes with each passing day. Of course, Goltana and Larg want to put down the rebellions at home, only they lack the troops to do so. To break the impasse, they seek to bring an end to the conflict for good and all. Even as we speak, their armies mass at Fort Bessalah to that purpose.
Then these months of rebellion and unrest, it all goes as the High Confessor had planned.
Yes, but it will not end as they have hoped. Larg and Goltana will be assassinated once the battle begins. Cut off one head, and 2 more spring forth. So naturally their closest allies must die with them. Count Orlandu of the Order of the Southern Sky, Zalbag of the Northern, and of course, Lord Dysadark.
He does clarify, Delita is only to assassinate Goltana and TG Sid. That is to say Orlandu. He does say that Duke Larg, as well as Dysadark and Zalbag, will be executed as well. Everybody is going down. If we're going to rebuild something new, we have to burn down the current state of affairs. Which, there's some truth to that. The church, of course, is aiming for peace at the cost of extreme violence, but, as fed up with the nobility as everybody seems to be in this world, it's not an entirely poorly thought out plan. It's cruel, but it's in some ways it's reflective of the will of the people. He's got a great line going out of this, though, Delita does. He says, "One thing yet remains between the church and the Arasite, the heretic Ramza Beowulf." He clarifies as he goes on, "I am no hound heeling at the church's skirts. I answer to no one but myself, meaning I would not think twice of killing you, Ramza, should the hour come, but not this day. Though our methods be different, our goals are not. As long as they remain so, you are no enemy of mine." I have mixed feelings about this. What about you two?
So, when I remember seeing this for the first time, and even again when I replayed it, I kind of had in my head that Delita was trying to be harder than he actually was, and amidst all of this manipulation and everything that he's doing, that he still holds Ramza up as a true friend. But he wants him to know that he will do everything and anything to meet his goals. I never took his threat seriously, so I didn't really know how it fit into the overall scheme of things, but that's kind of where my head was at. I thought he was just blowing fluff, honestly.
Interesting.
I wish he would have. I wish he would have tried something.
I wish a motherfucker would.
So that Ramza would have slapped some sense into him, and then hopefully Delita would have come around and joined the crew again, and we could fix the world together.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. He does eventually, in a coming scene, he does fight on our side. So he's not just blowing smoke. I mean, not in that way. He is loyal to no one but himself. He has his own ambitions. He doesn't want to see the church rise to power. You know, we talked about that last time. That's just one corrupt government taking place of another corrupt government. And Delita knows this. He wants to tear it all down. There is something admirable about that. The thing is like, we were led to believe that these two were best friends since they were children, and I know that Petra's death traumatized Delita, and it being at the hands of Ramza's brother, I can understand that, but I don't know, I go back and forth on it. It just seems like a lot of development is asked of the reader to sort of build in their imagination, which isn't a bad thing. You know, it's a your mileage may vary kind of deal. And depending on the day you ask me, I go back and forth on it. I don't know. He mentions that the church wants a puppet state with the High Confessor at the helm. They aim only to use Ovelia. I like this line. Ramza asks if Delita isn't doing the same thing. To which he says, "I cannot say. To save her life, I would gladly give my own." This is important to point out now, I think, because of a coming scene. Pretty cool. So as you might not expect, because nobody ever does, the Inquisition shows up, the church's Inquisition squad. I'm inserting Zalbag's theme here, because it plays right after, and we're not going to linger on this battle. Delita, interestingly, chooses to fight by our side. He really is a free agent. And honestly, I think he's one of Final Fantasy's best written characters, but that's just me. Confessor Zalmor, he sees Delita here, and Delita says he's got to go. He's seen my face. Ramza again wants to talk it out because our poor sweet boy has learned nothing. Afterwards, Ramza seeks to bring the scriptures to Cid, the scriptures of Jeromanique, since Orin insisted that they'd help. This fight was cake for me, like absolutely cake. At this point, I think I had a Geomancer, a Time Mage, and a Monk with Jump 2 or 3 that just hopped up there and beat the shit out of everybody.
Yeah, I can't remember what I used in this battle too, but I had a lot of abilities at my disposal that I was able to target very high up, and I still had Agrius in the party, so she used her Hollowed Bolt ability, and all she had to do was just stay on the ground. This fight was over in like 3 turns or less. It was great, but it was nice having Delita fight at our side, even albeit for a moment.
You know, moments like this where Delita joins the cause makes me want Delita game, because this one is the story of Ramza, which is the lost story of the heretic that nobody knew until this scholar found it and is now telling it. So what about Delita's story, the story that everybody knows? Why can't we get a game about it? Because I would love to see all the scheming and everything that he did, you know, behind the scenes. And you know, what if there were other moments where he joined other people that were in our party to help them fight? Or, you know, I don't know. I just want to see everything that went on in his life through this period.
Don't give Square Enix any ideas. They'll start selling that as a DLC.
I will pay for it.
That's the problem. They know they'll get money out of everyone. Oh, it would be neat. It would be neat to see. Before we leave this scene, we're introduced to a new character, Valmafra, sent to keep an eye on Delita. And what a great job she's doing, he says. She's relaying the message that the Northern Order is marching toward Fort Veselat, and the Southern Order is sure to follow shortly thereafter. There's a great line here. Ramza says that there's still time to prevent bloodshed, and Delita retorts, then our paths part here. And they shake hands. That's just so badass, man. What a way to take leave.
It's great.
Oh, this is a neat fight that's coming up here in the Buddha Sandwaste. Maybe that's a typo. Buddha Sandwaste, I don't know. There's a fight with a Templar knight named Beric, yet another character we're introduced to. Their plan is to take down the Southern Sky, while the Southern Sky is preoccupied with the Northern Sky, and in all the chaos, who is to say what might happen to Duke Larg? And then there's a cool gimmick here. We show up and we try to throw down. He throws into the air this poison spore that they plan to use on the Northern Sky Army as well, and it poisons your whole squad for the next battle. Like everybody starts poisoned. I think that is so cool. That's a nice little diegetic touch added to the fray. I loved it.
I like that a lot too, and I wish they would have done more things like that. Maybe not poison everybody in a battle per se, but just something to change the dynamic, maybe restrict an ability or something like that. But what we got here was actually kind of cool, and I had to spend at least a turn and a half or two just curing that poison, and that really set me off balance for this battle, and it was not easy.
Yeah, I scraped by.
Could this fight be what gave the idea for the judges for Final Fantasy Tactics Advance and Advance 2? Because what other crazy elements have there been in the game so far like this? Like maybe you fight in a swamp and if you land in the water and stay there, you get poisoned. Maybe the Lucavi do crazy status effects whenever they attack, but that's not something you start off the fight with.
You are asking the wrong fella. I've never played Tactics Advance 1 or 2.
Yeah, I'll give a little context here. So the idea, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong. When you go into a battle, there's judges, almost like referees in battle, right? And
what?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it gets good. So when you start these battles, there may be predetermined rules when you go into the battle. They can be as simple as you cannot cast magic, or it can be as complicated as you cannot cast magic of this particular type while you're on this area of the map while rubbing your belly and jumping up. And okay, that's a little too much, but you kind of get the gist.
That's kind of awesome.
Yeah, there's some ridiculous.
Yeah,
there's some ridiculousness like that. I think there's even some that have to do with your stats. You can't bring characters with a certain stat number into this fight, and if you do, the character gets yanked out immediately.
Yeah, if you break any of these rules, it's kind of like soccer. You get thrown up a yellow card, you might get a penalty, or if you do it too much or it's too egregious of an infraction, your character's done and they're off the map.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, here's a plug for Final Fantasy Tactics Advance. Give that one a whirl. That's another one I play the crap out of.
That is so creative. On paper, that sounds so cool. I would love to check that out.
I hate the judges so much. I hate them so much.
Saying, I love it, and Chris's eye starts twitching just a little.
It's okay. The twitches go away after a while. Once you realize that the game makes you kind of change up how you go about building your party out, and it makes you try different things. It's kind of fun for what it is, but then when you can't take your best character in a battle because a rule is in place, that can kind of be a little annoying, but still, it's fun. Gotta try it.
Yeah, and if you think you can get around the whole rule thing by attacking the judge, you can't. That's a bad idea.
Oh,
that's
man.
a really bad idea.
I never tried to do that. Oh, my gosh.
Speaking of breaking the rules and being a great segue-ist, we're about to see some rules being broken in Galtana's court. Orlando, I'm just going to call him Cid from now on. Cid seems to be being framed for plotting against Galtana. And Cid is completely taken aback. He's nonplussed, which, by the way, nonplussed can mean both completely stunned or totally unmoved. Both meanings are acceptable now. He's nonplussed. He's like, I've been loyal to you for years, decades. Who says this? The High Confessor says that that Cid has been consulting with the church to overthrow Goltana. Totally non-biased report there. And Sid calls the bullshit as he sees it. He's like, what are you talking about? What does he say? He's like, what blackguard told you this? But it doesn't matter because Goltana has already kind of decided, and he sends him away. Delita comes in right after this and is promptly made commander of the Knights of the Southern Sky. Order of the Southern Sky. What a promotion. And we move on now to Fort Veselat. That's where both armies were marching. This is pretty neat. You can choose to either assault the northern wall or sneak in the southern. Which did you guys choose?
I did the one with, I believe, the elevation, the one where, is it a mount? I don't really remember.
They've both got some elevation. If memory serves, I think the southern side has a little bit more. That's the side that I went into. Spoiler alert, both kind of play out the same, just on different boards. It's not all that different.
Yeah, I went the southern wall in this particular area, and we just got done talking about the idea of we start a battle with poison, right? Something different when we start battle. Now we toyed with the idea of taking differing paths down or into an area. Like I like this a lot, and it's kind of neat going back and doing the other one if you play the game again. But I don't know. I wish they'd have done more of this too. But that's just me.
Yeah, it could make for interesting replayability. And I get, I can kind of get why they wouldn't go all out making these separate. Which, speaking of that, by the way, do either of you feel the same as me? I kind of feel like this game towards the end, I get the sense that they really wanted to finish it and really wanted to wrap it up. Like maybe they were approaching a deadline, they were running tight on funds, but it just feels like the end of this is really expedited. Like it has the sense that it needs to breathe for another, 10 hours or so, but they just couldn't squeak that out. Is that crazy?
I feel like that's right, because in this playthrough there were a couple of moments where I go, well, this plot point is done, and it is just unceremoniously done. Like it's just over with. Next topic.
Yeah, and that combined with the fact that they're introducing so many characters to us in this back half, like new characters left and right. Most of them, if they have an arc at all, it's solved within a couple conversations. Like not Mileuda, who I've been mispronouncing this whole time. Meliadul. She's introduced, she joins your party, and her whole arc is wrapped up in like 2 scenes. And we're just introduced to more and more and more. It's too much. Like there's just too many pieces on this chessboard. I don't know. That's my take. Nomad, what are you feeling?
I feel the same. I don't know if I felt that right here where we're at in the story in terms of the discussion, but I absolutely felt that as the game went on. We'll talk about it when we visit Dice Darg and Zalbag in a little bit here, but that's the point where it really hit home for me. Like, okay, we got to get this done, apparently.
I mentioned before that when I take notes for the show, if feasible, what I like to do is not take many when I'm playing and go back later and watch like Let's Play or watch cutscenes and take them then. Sometimes I did like the end of Act 3 up until after Delita's speech here. I did that while playing, but otherwise I went through. And in skipping around, I realized I missed a scene. So we're going to do that here. This might be out of order by a little bit, but also if you're here for this last episode, I imagine you beat the game. So maybe spoilers, I don't quite remember. But we get a scene in a back room with Goltana and Delita. Goltana gives him the order, go do what you were told to do. Delita says no. He assassinates Goltana here, right there, right then. Dagger or a sword through the sternum, just as planned. What's not quite as planned, what shocked me a little bit, is this new guy waltzes in. He's dressed up as Sid, but his name tag on his little speech box says like a devout follower or something like that. What's going on here is he's a devout follower of Saint Ajora disguised as Sid, and he's willingly letting himself be killed so Sid can run free. I imagine Delita must have used his silver tongue to convince him that he's on the side of the church and is going to help save Ajora, or summon Ajora, even though that's not at all what Delita wanted to do.
Yeah, this scene absolutely surprised me. And at first I thought it was just a tactic to continue to frame Sid, but once I really sat back and thought about it, it endeared me even more to Delita's character and how he's pulling all these different strings to make the narrative what it's ultimately going to be as we continue to go through the game here. Like, this scene was expertly done. One of my favorites, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, this is one of the scenes where I'm like, oh, that's the next plot point. He just kills Goltana and sacrifices fake Sid. In the PlayStation 1 version, I think he's called like Sid's decoy or something like that. It's specifically told that that's a person that's there to be a fake Sid. So when that happens, I'm like, well, so what? The war's over. The other side won. What's going to happen now? And it was done so quickly, so unceremoniously. It's just stab the guy and continue with your schemes.
Yeah, Delita is so fascinating. We'll talk more about his arc, I think, at the end. It's interesting how it interacts with Ramza, but he is so blinded by ambition. In some ways, like, he kind of reminds me of someone like Tony Soprano or Walter White, where he is acting in his own self-interest and what he perceives as being the right path forward in such a way that he is not afraid of getting his hands dirty to do it. You see similar themes in like Lisa the Painful, The Last of Us Parts 1 and 2, in some way Disco Elysium, like lots of fantastic shows and games that are out there with these complex characters. Delita is definitely among them. That's why I think he's one of the best written characters this franchise has. But moving away from Delita, you had mentioned Zalbag and Dicedarg and seeing them. We see them here. Zalbag stumbles upon this scene. Slaughtered Northern Sky Knights litter the ground. Everyone is dead. Only one is alive, and he promptly dies right here. Dicedarg walks in, and he lets him know exactly what happened. Poison spores through the air. Where have we heard that before? Duke Larg is here too. They were looking for him, and he's up at the top. He's very unwell. He is not looking good. And he says, but don't worry, I don't think it's serious. I just need some time. And Dicedarg, I don't know. A lot of folks probably saw this coming. I did not. He says, I just need some time. And Dicedarg replies, most unfortunate. Promptly stabs him right in the abdomen. Everybody is shocked. He killed not only Duke Larg, but per Duke Larg's last words, or at least he implies, his father too. Actually, I don't think he implies. I think he outright says it. So Dicedarg, now we've always kind of thought Dicedarg was doing whatever he can to put House Beowulf at the top, but now we're seeing him for what he really is. He wants to put House Beowulf at the top in his own name. Another character that's just using this will to power solely for their own purposes. I don't know. This was pretty shocking to me.
I thought this was a very, very cool scene. You know, everybody's pretty much dead because of the poison, and Dicedarg kills the Duke with Zalbag next to him, and then he says, just put the knife in the soldier's hand, just said soldier got to him, whatever, and he collapses.
Yeah, he gives him a little nudge and a wink. He's like, you saw that soldier assassinate Duke Larg, right?
Right, before passing the fuck out. And again, another one of those, okay, this plot point completely done. It's over. Like, the war is technically over because the two dukes warring it out, the reason for the War of the Lions, both are dead. What do we just have now? Are we just going to have a bunch of soldiers just fighting out for no reason in battlefields?
Well, not entirely. I mean, remember what Delita said. He said something to the effect of, when you cut off one Hydra's head, three come in its place. What would effectively happen with Duke Larg gone, Dicedarg is now in charge. He is now leading that sect. And with Goltana gone, now it falls to Sid. Or, at least we think Sid is being called back for heresy. So I suppose it would fall to Dicedarg, or Zalbag. So they're just replacing it, and Delita's ultimate goal is to just cut him down. Dicedarg's ultimate goal is to take charge and absorb Zalbag into it and lead with House Beowulf. I don't think it's just ending the war and now there's just wanton skirmishes everywhere. I do think it's a little more cogs are moving within the machine a little more than that.
But it also feels like it's just creating a lot of chaos, and
oh, totally.
These characters that were, you know, such important figureheads were so. I feel like Goltana specifically was so unceremoniously dispatched, while, you know, Larg had this whole scene of he got poisoned, but then the poison wasn't strong enough or working fast enough, so let me just jab him in the stomach. It kind of feels like rushed but not rushed, but still rushed.
Yeah, I kind of felt that a little bit too, but I think at least for this particular scene, I was leaning more so it was going fast just because it was trying to not shock the player, but it was trying to make its point very quickly and try to take the player aback, or at least that's how I felt with it. Because I was like you, Rick, I did not see this coming, the assassination of Larg like this. Like, I figured it was coming, but not by Dystarg's hand, at least not here. And then the implications that maybe this happened to Dystarg, Ramza's father as well, that really rocked me. So I think doing it quickly like this was effective for that kind of a reveal. But on the same token, too, I do also agree with Chris that we're going pretty fast now. Was this intentional or not? It's interesting when you dissect it like that.
Yeah, I can see your point of views. For me, the ramping up of speed comes a little bit later, but I can definitely see how you might think that here. One thing to note before we move on, though, Zalbag asks if all of this was Dystarg's doing, if the poison, and Dystarg says, no, it wasn't mine. It was a gift from someone who would see House Beowulf rise to the top, or something to that effect. So he's saying, like, no, it's not me. Wink, wink. You know what I mean? He's admitting it without admitting it. And to that effect, he's still got some plausible deniability about the father thing. It's not a baseless claim, but it's a pretty intense claim right now with no evidence. But, you know, put a pin in that. That's something awesome happens there. The next scene has Dystarg and Lofri sitting at a table. Lofri, in the PS1 version, this would be his first appearance. Another character that's introduced here and has like one other scene and battle, and then he's done. And, you know, I'm not convinced that the scene that we had him in with the War of the Lions, with talking to Wiegraf at Miliuda's grave, I don't think that necessarily needed to even be there. I don't know. He's talking to Dystarg, though, at this table. Lofri can't persuade him to step down, to stop trying to bring House Beowulf to the top. And he's also sort of asking, you know, what happened to Duke Larg? I don't know. I don't think it was an assassination. And Dystarg's getting fed up with it. He says, were it our desire, we could crush the Template like an overripe grape. To which Lofri responds with such a fantastic line. He says, pray remove that fine white cloak beforehand. Burst grapes oft leave a fearsome stain. That's so fucking good, man. I wish, like, if it wouldn't be considered eye-rollingly cringe, I would speak to people this way in real life.
That makes two of us.
Yeah, you say that, you're getting made fun of in a group chat that you're not a part of. I guarantee it. But this is where Lofri begins to sort of tip his hand. He knows way more than Dystarg expects, and he's being a bit coy. He knows about the moss fungus. He says it takes a great deal to kill a man. It's hard to spot because of how slowly it creeps up, and the person poisoned is often not even aware of it until it's too late. And then he immediately pivots. He says, your late father was taken by malady, was he not? I'm told you yourself have some knowledge in poison craft. So he is blatantly trying to blackmail Dystarg. Dystarg's like, yeah, what of it? Like, what are you trying to say? You really trying to do this right now? And he also lets on this little fact. He says, you know, moss fungus poisoning will cause mushrooms to sprout from a corpse. Did you know that? He's dangling all of this in front of Dystarg as a way to say to him, I know what's up, and if you don't play ball, we're going to have a big problem, man. Like, the church is going to take you down. And Dystarg is too focused. He's got the blinders on. He's blinded with selfish rage and hubris. He's not going to step down. But interestingly, Lofri gives Dystarg an aura sight before the scene's over. And turns out Zalbag was listening to all of this in secret. Pretty dramatic stuff.
Absolutely. This is another one of those scenes where it's top tier for me, one of my favorite. It's so fun. It was so fun for me to watch Dystark practically squirm in his seat while Joffrey was explaining all of this. In one part, I was taken aback because our suspicions are all but confirmed here. He did murder his father. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it now. And just to watch him lay all this out in front of Dystark to a point where he acknowledges all these things, brings him to the table, that blackmail, if you will, but then leaves the aura sight on the table, knowing Dystark will take it and will more than likely succumb to its allure and be part of this grandmaster plot that's brewing through the church. Dystark himself, trying to be top of the Beowulf household and run things, has just become another pawn in this grand scheme, and I love this for that.
Yep. Joffrey can see that in him. He is so possessed by greed and want of power and hubris, he is not even thinking about how that aura sight might affect him. Not to mention, as far as Dystark's probably concerned, all of those talk of them being magic stones is just myth and legend. So he's not thinking even clearly enough to say, why in the world would you give me this? It's great. It's so great. And yeah, he's sitting on one ass cheek this whole time too. He's really squirming.
This scene, I don't know how to explain this, but this scene at the end where you see Salbag was listening into the conversation the entire time makes me feel bad for Salbag, especially how his story continues from this point onwards. I think Salbag might be one of the saddest character arcs in the entire story for me.
He's a really interesting case. We're shown early on the lengths to which he would go for the pride of his family, but it's a different sort of pride, as we can see now, than Dystark. It's more of a pride, and part of me does wonder too. I wonder how much of Zalbag's ear Dystark had towards the beginning for him to give the order to shoot Titra. That doesn't strike me, at least in retrospect, as something of Zalbag's character. Yeah. So I do wonder if Dystark didn't have his ear, a little too much. But even with all those atrocities, he does come to be a tragic figure in the end. And yeah, like you said, Chris, we all feel really bad for him because he has a turn of heart. He sees the light, and it's to no avail. Slight spoiler alert, but he has a very unceremonious death. Big time.
Yeah, man, it makes me feel bad how Salbag, how his story continues from here on.
We're going to move forward just a touch. There are a couple random battles, some of them more difficult than others. Elmdor and Fulmarv are seen talking at one point. This is where we're introduced to the idea of the Necrohole, as well as, quote, the girl becoming a host for the High Seraph. I don't think it's a stretch to say most people probably know that they're talking about Alma, but it's not confirmed just yet. And this leads to a fight with Elmdor himself. This fight fucking sucks.
Yes, it does.
It's so funny. I can't remember if I messaged this to you or in another server, but I feel like on one hand I'm like, I love this game. This game is so fantastic. Top 3 Final Fantasies. And on the other, like 40% of the fights, I'm like, this fucking sucks. This is terrible. But seriously, this fight stinks, man. It's really hard because Elmdor has crazy high evasion. I don't think I ever had more than 50% of a hit rate on him. That, coupled with the fact that he can teleport basically anywhere with 100% accuracy, and the fact that you're fighting Celia and Letty at this time. Is that their names? Celia and Letty? I think it is.
Yeah.
You're fighting them at the same time. And Elmdor has a unique ability to turn, to give the status effect Vampire, which not only turns you undead, it takes the control away from you, and your character will attack either friend or foe by absorbing their health. And I'm pretty sure, this didn't happen to me, but I'm pretty sure if everybody gets inflicted with Vampire, or everybody that's alive, then it's game over. Do either of you know if that's... It is?
It is game over. It is.
Did it happen to you? You
it
answered
happened
pretty
to
quick.
me. It happened to me. Yeah, it was infuriating. They turned my Cid, Sid turned Ramza, and then both of them turned everybody else, and it was infuriating. But I also think that this is one of those fights where if you get somebody down health-wise low enough, the fight's over.
Yeah, that's true.
I think this is one of those fights, because then I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that again, and I just took it serious and just beat the shit out of one of the girls, and the fight was over.
Oh, you can get one of the girls down too? I think I might have done that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it didn't work that way for me. I was able to take the girls down. When you take the girls down, they actually transform into their demon forms, and I ended up taking those out too, but that didn't end the battle.
Okay.
Bringing Elmdor down to critical, though, where he's on his knees,
that's
sure.
that's how I ended the battle. But I also think that it might have been the next, because I think you fight him again after this.
Yeah, one more time.
Yeah, so I think that this time or was it the second time? Anyways, one of the times I fought him, I beat him because he kept triggering my counter, and the counter made damage every single time. Even though I tried attacking with both. I had a couple of ninjas and Sid, and nothing would do any damage. But the counters worked, so I guess that's great.
I can't remember if I had the first strike ability at this time or not, but that saved me a lot during these ending chapters.
Yeah, that's actually what got me through it, is I had first strike on Ramza, who was basically a perpetual monk at this point, dual-wielding fists, so that was nice. So he kind of walked into it, but I will say before we move off this battle, one of the more, I'd like to think, well-known things possibly is Elmdor's equipment set is very sought after. Did either of you try to steal all of his stuff? The fabled Genji armor, shield, and gauntlet and all that?
That was the thing.
No, I stopped using thieves pretty early on.
I ended up going into this knowing ahead of time, but it's very hard to do, very infuriating, because if you fail, you got to start all over if you're not playing the remaster. But he has, I think it's one of, if not the best armor sets in the game. Genji armor, Genji helmet, Genji shield, and a Genji gauntlet as an accessory. The stats are just astronomical, but the problem is the steal rate is very, very low. You have to be patient or a sadist or both to be able to get all of these and survive the battle. But if you do, it's very rewarding if you put the time into it, but not essential.
Oh man, you said that you love Final Fantasy IX. This made me think of that one steel battle with that one ogre around Aiko's land where you're trying to steal the one flute, that infamously low steal rate.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that's it.
I will never. Every time I play through Final Fantasy IX after my first couple of playthroughs, I turn that cheat on in the Maguri mod that's 100% steal rate. I've been through it. I've been through the trenches. Just let me play the game.
Oh yeah, paid your dues in full.
Here's something, Chris. Do you know the fight that comes after this that is PSP exclusive?
I do not.
Oh, Chris, I'm wondering what you're going to think about this. This is a PSP exclusive fight against Zombie Argath.
What in the fuck,
He's
dude?
brought back to life. The bastard returns.
The bastard returns.
I was wondering where the hell that fight was, because you talked about it in the chat, and I was like, I'm gonna kill Argath again, and the fight never came. I was wondering if I did something wrong.
You were like, did you restart the game? What the fuck? No, you
hate him that much?
but in your defense, in the PS1's defense, this fight is totally unnecessary. I don't know why it's here. I think it's here just to give fan service to the players to beat the shit out of Argath one more time.
Is the fight challenging at all, or it's just get your punches in?
Nomad, you can fill in here if you'd like. So at this point in my game, Ramza was a Dark Knight. I got him up there. I had a Dark Knight. I had a monk that could teleport. I had a ninja that could throw items. I had Sid, and I had a mime. I worked to get a mime for so long. I love the mime. The mime works like anything you do with another character, the mime will immediately do back, but you have to line it up. So if somebody aura blasts, like my monk aura blasts 3 spaces forward, the monk will also do it 3 spaces forward. If somebody is 3 spaces forward and 1 to the right, it won't hit. So it takes a bit of work, but if you line it up right, like I did with mine, you could do buku damage, man. The mime was doing Dark Knight abilities, punching like a monk. throwing items sometimes. Like, it is good stuff, my dude. I love the mimes. This battle was not difficult at all. It was easy peasy. Went down like lemon lime. I don't know.
Yeah, nothing real to add on my part. I was rocking mostly like ninjas and high speed units at this point, so I just had a pure speed advantage for the most part. But I agree, this fight was completely unnecessary, but beating the shit out of Argath again was well worth my time.
Man.
Like you said, Chris, now we're joining back up with Chris and the PS1 crew. This is that second Elmdor fight where he turns into his Lucavi form, Zalera, the Death Seraph. What Zodiac is this? I'm not 100% sure.
Now I gotta look it up.
It's like Wheatgraph had Ares, who was the head of a lamb. One of the upcoming ones is a bull. It's pretty clearly Taurus.
According to the interwebs, Elmdor's Zodiac Stone was Gemini.
Okay.
Which does not fit his monster form in the slightest, at least in my opinion.
Hey, in real time, I just got a notification from YouTube that pixelprojectradio uploaded a new Final Fantasy Tactics episode. Did you guys know that?
Nice.
I might have heard something about that.
Howdy doody. If you're listening to this right now, go back and listen to part 3 and then come back here into part 4. It's great. What other podcast is going to ask you to do more listening than is required? None, I tell you. Patreon.com/pixelprojectradio. But yeah, that Argath fight is stupid. This fight with Zalera I didn't find too crazy difficult. This is where that new NPC Meliadul joins you. She's Fulmarv's daughter. Her arc is, it basically begins and ends here and within like 10 minutes. She kind of, rebukes her father. She can't believe it at first, and then she sees it, and then she's like, "You've strayed, blah, 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 blah." I'm not a fan of it. They're introducing too much stuff and too many characters. Ramza fills her in on the situation here too, and then she's coming with us. I don't know. I don't have much more to say on Meliadul than that. Maybe I'm being a little bit dismissive.
No, I don't think you are. I feel like they wanted to do something with this character, but either ran out of time or just didn't really take it the distance. Her skill set is just one half of what you will later get when we get a hold of a more powerful character. So she was relegated to the sidelines very quickly for me anyway. So
who is the more powerful character?
Oh, or Thunder God Sid.
Oh, we've got him at this point.
Oh, do we? Oh, geez.
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah,
we do.
So I'm definitely paying attention to this podcast that we're on right now.
Meliadul is pretty good though. She comes in like really high level. She came in at like level 87 for me, and her sword is Save the Queen, which that's Beatrix's sword from Final Fantasy IX.
Yes, that's right. That sword's great. And in Tactics, if I'm not mistaken, equipping it automatically gives your character Protect, which brings down their physical damage that they receive. So she's got her moments. I'll give her that.
Yeah, Chris, you piped up too. Are you using Sid towards this end game? I definitely was.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure if it's by this point or later on, because I started doing a whole lot of grinding for no reason. I wanted to get Mustadio to be a calculator, but then I found out that you have to get all of the abilities of a calculator for it to be any kind of useful. And I wasn't going to do that. Somebody broke my Sid weapon, the weapon that Sid comes with, and it kind of ruined the character, but I still kept them in my party.
Can Sid equip Save the Queen?
Probably. I think so. But his sword was just overpowered. Like, it did a ton of damage, and I think it gave him haste on top of it. So he
doesn't it also let him absorb holy?
I think so. Yeah, like it's just a completely insane weapon to have, and it just completely made the character insanely overpowered.
Yeah, we didn't talk about Sid. That's the developer's way of giving you a character that automatically kind of helps you break the game. He is insanely strong. Like, if you want to get through the end of the game without like too much thinking, just throw Sid in your party. He'll mow him down.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he would.
Yeah, I can't decide like how that really truly fits in the whole grand scheme of things. Because what I mean by that is like the moment you get Sid, it's like the developers are like, okay, you've suffered enough. Here is your god tier unit that you can just go rampage with, and it takes very little development to have him at his full potential, and he will just murk so many units and enemies. It's crazy, and it's so fun to see. But at the same time too, it's like the difficulty curve immediately goes way down if you have him in your party. And I guess it's up to you if you decide to use them or not, but it's like, I can't decide if I actually like that or not. I mean, I do. I mean, Sid's amazing, but hopefully what I'm trying to say makes sense.
No, it totally does. That's a common critique of this game. I mean, there are two critiques of this game, is that it's way too hard, especially folks thinking about the beginning, and then other folks will say it's way too easy thinking about the end of the game. That's one of my critiques of the game too, is that overall the difficulty is just totally unbalanced. And I think as a whole, it's just a titch too hard. But that's not because of this ending part, because I agree, this ending part is kind of anticlimactic considering how strong we've become. It's just like the average of the game's difficulty is so weighted by the opening battles, like the beginning up until Dorter. And then it doesn't get so bad, and then a few random spikes, and then of course Wiegroff, that's insane, and the battle after Wiegroff is insane, and then every battle with Wiegroff honestly is pretty tough. It's just the average is lifted a bit because of those, and if those can be compressed down and these could be lifted up a bit, that would be perfect, or at least for a normal difficulty. I don't know what Tactician does in the remaster, but I don't know. It's just so inconsistent. I will take the silence as you know what I mean. So let's move on. We see a scene with Alma in this room, and a wounded Orin sort of stumbles in. He is trying to tell her the truth, that the man who murdered Duke Goltana was not Cid. He was framed before leaving with Ramza to fight the High Confessor. But before Orin can reveal who killed the Duke, Delita, now in Regalia, comes in. This is a foolish thing you've done, Orin. To which Orin responds, "Traitor, you have no right to speak to me." "You act as though you did not wish for what I did," Delita retorts. "Look around you. Do you see any earnest tears? You were not alone in praying for his downfall. I even made your father out for dead. You should thank me. No one pursues a man known slain." Pretty good. I mean, again, Delita fully believes what he is doing is just. He will stop at no end for his version of justice. It just becomes the age-old question, who is to say what justice truly is? Can you have an unbiased view of justice? Does anybody have the answer? No, probably not. According to Delita, though, he did this to make Ovelia queen, although now she is beginning to see that Delita is using her. I mean, I'm assuming to become king himself, right?
That's exactly what I was...
I don't know. It's kind of like never expressed, and has he ever even hinted at that he wants to be king?
He said that he's going to tear down the kingdom and build a new one for Ovelia at a certain point. I can't remember if they're before this or after, but he says, like, pointedly, why shouldn't it be me? Like, who else is going to do it? So I think it is, like, I think his ambition is to be king himself, and I suppose he's using Ovelia to become king, but if she's already outed as being a fake, I don't know. I feel like there are a few holes in this that I just haven't thought through.
She's a fake, but the only people that know are the people in that small inner circle, like the general populace, right. And I'm guessing the church don't know that she's a fake.
Nor the public. Yeah, you're totally right. I totally forgot about that. Yeah. They have this moment where Delita's like, "Do you trust me?" And she doesn't answer, or she answers cryptically. She's like, "I want to, but you're making it difficult." He says it's black and white. He's like, "You either trust me or you don't." Classic manipulator 101 stuff. So she's like, "Yeah, okay, I suppose I trust you." I mean, she's obviously, there's a power dynamic here. She's feeling pressured into it. So he sends her away. He's like, "I got to talk to Orin." She says, "Please don't kill him." And he's like, "I'm not going to kill him." So she goes away, but she hides in this room, like behind a bookshelf or a pillar or something. I don't quite remember. And she listens into this conversation. He asks for Orin's loyalty as he seeks again to bring down the Order of the Northern Sky and the Southern Sky and the Church to become king himself, which is where Valmefra. What's her name? Valmafra.
Yeah, she has a different name on the PlayStation, and so does Orin.
Yeah, he's Olin, right?
Orlin, yeah, and his dad is Orlandu.
It's Valmafra, right?
Yes, that's correct. I just found an article here, Valmafra.
Yeah, this is where she stands up and Delita is like, okay, yeah, you've been sent by the church to kill me at the first sign of rebellion. Like, I knew this all along. I'm not stupid. And he sort of, puts his hands out. He's not armed. And he's like, do it. If you're going to do it, do it. And she hesitates. She doesn't do it. And I forget his line. It's a really good line. He's like, if you're not going to do it, then I'm going to do this or something like that. And the camera raises up. We see nothing but black and we hear a female scream. The implication being she's dead.
Yeah, this scene rocked my world a little bit just because me being the young, naive one that I was when I was younger was still holding on to a glimmer of hope that he truly did have some semblance of feeling for Ovelia. And even though he's using her in a lot of ways to further his own ambitions, I thought maybe there might have been something in there that he was doing it for her. Some semblance of love, right? But no, this scene brings it all down and he is truly out for himself and what he wants to do here.
I fail to believe that.
Really?
I do not subscribe to that way of thinking. I think all the way to the end he cared about her and was doing this all for her. All because he reminded her, she reminded him of his sister.
I actually agree with that completely. I do truly think that he loved her. I have a question for you two. Do you think this is Delita's turn? Like, there's always a turn where someone becomes a villain. And there's no turning back. We said that Delita's climax could be considered the killing of Tetra, but in terms of his tipping the scales into becoming a villain from a sort of deuteragonist anti-hero into a villain, do you think it's here?
I'd like to think so. And it's not just of what we discovered, too. There's even visual cues now. The regalia that you had mentioned before, his appearance has changed, his attitudes changed, and he's always been kind of a serious sort of an individual, but the way that he goads Valmafra to take his life. Come here, do it, arms outstretched, make your move. Like, it's very evident to me that I think, yes, this is kind of his descent into that quote-unquote villainy. Delita felt very different to me after this scene.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. But isn't this the last time we see him?
No.
Before the story ends? No.
Oh yeah, before the epilogue. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Maybe with it being the last time you see him, then it would make sense for this to be like his final turning point.
I'm wondering what you guys think about this, and I promise I didn't pre-plan this. I just thought of it while one of you were talking. Like any good podcaster, I don't listen. I just think of what I'm going to say. I wonder if Delita wasn't already turned here, because of his transformation, because of how he's acting, because he's outright saying, like, if not me, who else? I wonder if the turn didn't come. I'm thinking of two places where Delita just slain the traitor in front of Duke Goltana without thinking twice about it. I'm thinking maybe it could be that, but what I'm more inclined to say is the moment he told Ramza, I will kill you if it comes to it. Like his childhood friend. And he's almost unceremoniously, he's like, I will kill you. If I have to, I will. I wonder if that's not the moment.
I think it must have been somewhere, maybe after or before he kidnapped the princess. Because he's just executing and just going and doing what he feels like he needs to do to set himself where he needs to be so that his plan can continue. So I don't know if we see the change or if the change happens at some point, like when his sister dies. I really don't know. Maybe he's just showing his true colors there at the end.
Maybe too, but sometimes I wonder, like, if that change has to happen in a moment, truly. Like, one of the things I love about this character and how he's written is this turn it's very gradual over a long period of time. And it's the more I think about it, talk about it with you two, I don't know if I can, now that I think about it, pinpoint like one specific spot. Teacher's death notwithstanding, there's just his entire existence, at least after the first chapter, is defined and driven by just his loss and then his newfound ambition to do something with it or do something about it. It's very good in that sense, very gradual, and I can't put my finger on it, and I think that really speaks to how well this character is written.
Yeah, totally. It would be a lesser work if it were written like a scene where it just happens. It is totally gradual. I think there can be an argument for a tipping point, and I'm not even necessarily saying it has to be the moment he told Ramza he would kill him. That admittedly comes pretty late in the story. I'm wondering aloud if that could be considered it, because I'm thinking about Delita. Obviously, in chapter 1 it wouldn't apply, but like in chapter 2, he was still considering other people to a great extent. Like, I don't think he had the blinders on, that myopic view of my justice compared to the kingdom's justice, and whether or not those two are even separate, because at this point they certainly aren't. Yeah, I don't know. Delita, I think Delita is a fantastically written character. I think he's complex. You know, I'm thinking of like Walter White. And I know I said that already, and I'm going to bring it up in the next scene too. I think because at first I was thinking of The Sopranos, and I think that's a more complexly written show than Breaking Bad. Controversial. But Walter White, I don't remember the exact moment, but there is a clear-cut moment where it's like, okay, he's Heisenberg now. Straight up. Like, Walter White is gone, he's Heisenberg. I don't remember the moment, but I know it happens, and it's, I think, fairly obvious. And I'm not saying Walter White's a poorly written character. Not at all. Not at all. That show deserves all the accolades it gets. It's fantastic. But it's very, like, you can see it. And I don't know that Delita is like that. I think, like you were saying, I don't think it needs to be an obvious, like, tipping point. It happens gradually. And I prefer that. You know, it's always fun to see that tipping point and to, like, do the Leo pointing at the screen and be like, there it is. That's fun, but it's gradual here. It's like poisoning the well. You never know that the well is poisoned until it's all poisoned. Very cool stuff.
Hear, hear.
Speaking of cool stuff, and speaking of Breaking Bad, this next scene had my jaw on the floor. It's very cool. You see Zalbag going to his father's grave, and he's bringing a chemist along with him. A chemist that I'm sure is, like, scared shitless given everything that's going on, and Zalbag's like, come with me alone. He takes him to the grave, and he picks up this thing and he throws it to the chemist, the herbalist, excuse me, and he's like, tell me what this is. He examines it, and he says, yeah, this is a moss fungus poison. This grows, on corpses when moss fungus is used, and it's a really bad omen, Zalbag. Like, they say that when these mushrooms appear, a house falls. And this, honestly, this was like the Breaking Bad scene with the Lily of the Valley, like that ending shot. I, like, jaw on the floor, I was like, oh my God, like, this is incredible. What a scene. Like, we already kind of knew that Dystark did that, but this is the seal. This is the final nail in the coffin. Nobody can deny it now. And Zalbag knows it too. He just sort of stares at the grave and he's like, I'm sorry, father. It is fantastic. What a scene.
This, when Sid Lawfrey, Homeboy was telling Dystark that, insinuating that he poisoned the father with moss fungus, I was hoping really badly that Zalbag would go to the grave and figure out if it was true or not, because I couldn't remember if that did happen during my first playthrough. I really couldn't remember that at all, but I felt fulfilled for Zalbag finding this out and finally learning the secret of what happened to his dad and who did it, which also again makes his character arc so tragic. It just, man, that poor guy.
It really is tragic. I mean, you think back to him killing Titra, and yeah, like that was a horrible decision, but I don't know, it's just so plain to me he was beguiled by Dystark. Like, I don't believe for a second, I can't wait to get to this part with, like, what's it, Ben Starr acting as Dystark, because I just know he's going to be a convincing motherfucker delivering these lines.
Hold up. Ben Starr is Dystark?
Did I get the name wrong?
He is, and I will say he nails it. Nails it.
What?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, man, I'm either gonna have to break the seal on that game or watch all the cutscenes on YouTube.
Yeah, dude. Clive, Verso, he's everywhere, man. He's having a hell of a year.
Tell me that what's his face? Ralph Ineson is Thunder God Sid. Please, I need more of that character.
I don't remember who the heck the rest of them are. I just remember Ben Starr. Yeah, that scene is so sick. You just got to feel so bad for Zalbag at this point. He's starting to see things plain, and I bet you anything he's realizing, like, a Dice Star killed my dad, he'd kill me in an instant too. Like, if it meant him getting the power that he wants, being the seat of the Beowulf house, he would kill me. He would kill Ramza. He would kill any of us in an instant. We got to stop this. And stop this they do. We go to Egro's castle. Zalbag's chocobo is here. Ramza sees it. And inside, this is the big showdown. Zalbag confronts Dice Darg. And Dice Darg is kind of playing the fool. He's denying it. And Zalbag's like, you can't bullshit me, man. That's not editorializing. He says that. And the guards come in. Dice Darg's like, he's out of his mind. Get him. We come in. And Zalbag's like, you were right, Ramza. And Ramza's like, hell yeah, dude. And then my Cid uses Judgment Bolt, Thunderbolt, and promptly kills Zalbag because I thought it was Dice Darg. And he one-shots him, and I have to restart the battle.
This is the fight where my sword broke. All of these knights broke my sword.
Oh yeah, all the knights are on like a breaking and rendering spree, but I got off on this one easy. I had Thunder God Cid using his Thunderbolt ability, Hollowed Bolt from below. I also had Agrius in the battle as well, so she could do the same thing. This fight was over almost instantly for me. I almost cheated it.
Yeah, this was pretty anticlimactic for me too. My mime was absolutely useless in this fight, but my monk had teleport, so it just teleported up there and just, haymakered folks in the temple, and it was done. There is some really good dialogue here that I don't want to skip over. Dice Darg shouts out to Zalbag. He says, the powerful must rule the weak. The crown once held such power, but no more. See how fate has brought it so low? Why should we not rule in its stead? Actually, this might be Ramza, I don't remember, but either he or Zalbag says, you feast on power, brother, but leave no place at the table for justice. The name Beowulf befits brave men who raise their sword in justice's name. You are no Beowulf. So fucking good. Just disowning him at the last minute. Fuck, man, this dialogue is so good.
Yeah, while I feel this battle was a little too quick, at least for me, the dialogue exchange alone makes this a memorable moment. It is very passionate, whether it's voice acted or not.
Yeah, I wish I would have looked up the PS1 script. I don't want to dunk on it, Chris. I know you prefer that version. Speaking of, I meant to say this at the very top. I found a blog, like just a WordPress blog, of somebody that took a shitload of the Japanese text, a bare translation of the Japanese text, the PS1 localization, and the War of the Lions localization, and just, did a comparison, gave their thoughts on why stuff is what it is. It's lengthy. It's really good. I'm going to link it in the episode description on this last episode. I was blown away. What a good comparison. That's a fantastic blog. Once he's down, Dice Darg is. Remember that aura site that Lofri slipped him? Of course he's going to succumb to the sly power of the Lucavi. So he turns into one. He turns into Adramilk. I forgot to write down what he looks like. I think he's just a green sort of guy, like a buff demon green guy. He immediately zaps Zalbag into non-existence. Just like it's uncinematic, it's unceremonious. Just a light encompasses Zalbag and he's gone immediately. And he's dead. Like, that's it for him. It is really uncinematic. This fight was also uncinematic for me because Ramza the Dark Knight, Cid, and my monk happened to corner him, and we just beat the shit out of him until he was dead.
I hate this. I hate this so much. Why? Why do they have to do my boy Zalbag like that? He's finally getting a conscience, finally questioning everything, finally being an adult and growing out of his little noble box. And he gets killed so unceremoniously. And the thing is, I didn't think he was killed. I thought he was just transported somewhere else until later on in the game. And God damn it, I hate it.
Yeah, I think that's what most folks thought too. But yeah, like you said, Chris, he's unquestionably dead based on an upcoming battle. Sorry, Nomad, you were going to say something?
I thought the same thing too. I thought he got transported to some place and we'd find him later, and it wasn't until we find out his true fate that he is really gone. And same. Very disappointed. I wish they'd have done him a little bit more justice in how they decided to exit him from the story. I felt really bad.
Yeah, here's your reward, buddy, for finally finding virtue. The path to hell is paved with good intentions, as they say. No good deed goes unpunished, I think is the idiom I was looking for. But I guess they could both apply. House Beowulf is no more. That brings us into the Mullund Cathedral. High Confessor Marcel, the head of the church, is slain right here by Fulmarv. Sword, blade, whatever it is, through the abdomen. He doesn't need him anymore because he's like, we were keeping you to get to the Ara site, but if Ramza's got them all now, then you're useless to us. You're just going to get in the way. He didn't wound him mortally. He's like, you're going to survive, don't worry, but you do need to give us the entrance to the Necro Hole. They're introducing a brand new thing. It's just too much. It just feels like they're forcing puzzle pieces into where they don't belong. Marcel gives him the whereabouts, but he's like, I don't know how to get in. That seal is in the Germanic scriptures. And Fulmar is basically like, God damn it, Ramza, every fucking turn. It's always you. And then before they leave, before Loffrey leaves, that is, he stabs Marcel a second time in the back, a second wound. He's dead. He doesn't die here, but he's dead. He's not getting up from that. And this takes us to the showdown with Fulmarv. He says, I'll release Alma, no problem. Only if you give us the scriptures and the Ara site. And he's like, you're in no position to bargain. That's not what I said. That's not what we're doing here. Give them. Ramza gives them the scriptures pretty willingly. He's like, I'll give you the Ara site after you release Alma. So they read the scriptures, they get the seal instructions. They're like, oh, wow, this is actually pretty easy. And then they promptly decide to kill us. Who could have seen that coming?
It's funny that we're at this point, too. I was going to mention it earlier, but when we were in that fight with Dicedarg with Zalbag, this is about the time where things really felt kind of rushed to be, and things are happening a little too fast. But it's still very interesting how things are kind of going through, and of course we saw these guys coming after us even if we gave them the scriptures, but yeah, things are moving at a pretty quick clip right now, I think.
Yeah, and this is where the end game starts, right?
More or less, yeah.
Yeah, because I was playing it and I was wondering where the game takes that shift towards this is the end. And it's when I realized that I'm fighting these people that have shown up like 2 or 3 times before. And there's nobody else left from the main story except for Delita. Because the brothers are gone, the dukes are gone. Everybody that was working for the dukes or the brothers are basically gone. So now all we have are these 3 loose ends to tie up. And it's over.
Yeah. Yeah, and Final Fantasy's always had a penchant for introducing new baddies towards the end, so it's not entirely unfounded. Although I guess at this time it wouldn't have been as common. This just came out after 7, before 8. And the one that everybody complains about is 9, so... And 8, too, a little bit.
This is completely off topic, but I am going to say that one of the things that I kind of dislike about Dragon Quest is that they tell you what the story is in the title, and it doesn't have a super secret boss at the end. And I was severely disappointed with Dragon Quest VIII when I didn't get a super secret boss at the end, and it was just the bad guy that had to do with the title of the game. Final Fantasy ruined me.
Too Fast, Too Furious. What's that about? Turns out it's about being fast and furious.
Right?
Too much, one could say.
Hey!
This is that fight that you two were both mentioning here. We come into a tomb with Fulmarv. He's not going to deal with us himself. He summons some demons and resurrects Zalbag. This is particularly chilling. One, he has a great line as he's leaving. He's like, you're already a heretic. Why not a kinslayer too? What a fucking bastard
Jesus
thing to
Christ.
say. But Zalbag, this is so horrifying. Zalbag can speak to us. He says he has no sensation. He can't see or feel. He doesn't know who or where or how he even is. He's just in a void, but he's somehow aware. And just think about how hellish that would be. And all the while you're aware somehow that your body is moving independently and attacking the one family member that you have, the one that wasn't totally corrupted. He even at one point he brings Ramza to kill him because he's like, I have a total lack of sensation, but somehow it burns. And he's like, you gotta kill me, put me out of this hell. Horrible, horrible, horrible. I feel like this is something kids wouldn't appreciate, but as you get older and get a better sense of what it might mean to lose your consciousness, to lose, to be mortal. It terrifies me. This was chilling.
Yeah, that I tried to save him. I tried everything I could to bring him back. I killed all of the demons. I tried using items on him, Phoenix Downs, everything, and nothing would work. I desperately tried to bring him back to life during this fight because I refused to accept that he was a zombie.
Damn, my approach was the polar opposite. I did everything I could to take him down as quickly as I could for Mercy's sake. Like, the more I think about it, the more I get a pit in my stomach, and I mean that in all honesty. Like, just thinking about that, thinking about where he was at, how he's feeling, everything you just mentioned, Rick, like, it got to me, and I put him down ASAP. Like, that was rough, but
he had so much to tell Ramza, and he couldn't. Everybody died without telling Ramza what happened to his dad, and all the planning and scheming and everything done by his older brother. Like, Ramza, for the rest of time, is in the dark. It sucks.
Yeah, forever in the dark, as we're about to find out. Yeah, you do end up, you kill him, you give him his wish, he's dead, and you stumble across the dying Marcel. He tells you where the Template went. Into the monastery vaults, which is where we go. There are some battles. We fight Lawfrey. Does Lawfrey turn into a Lucavi? I can't remember. He doesn't, because once he's beaten, he opens up the gates to hell, like almost literally. He opens the seal to get into the necro hole, drags us down in there with him, and promptly breaks the seal so none of us can get out. We are all trapped down here. What I wrote here is, we're all trapped. We all float down here. Parentheses, because the game always optimizes your equipment to the float boots. I'm very funny.
Oh my god! I eventually sold the damn things. I was tired of unequipping them, and like the one time I needed them, it's like, I'll just cast float on myself. God damn it!
Yeah, I forget which one of you was saying this. I'm sorry, but I just, like, they're sending us into this brand new location, this brand new hell, but like the stakes, like, what are the stakes? Like, what even is this place? None of us really know, least of all the players. So I really feel like they're just trying to chug us along to an ending here, which admittedly, I love the ending, but to get there, it feels like they really want us to get there pretty quickly.
Yeah, at this point, what's Ramza's motivation? Just kill these dudes, get the book back, get get
Alma
back.
I'm pretty sure that's it. But will we kill God? That's the most important question. This sort of begins a gauntlet of fights against some high-ranking Templarates who are really just lackeys of Fulmarv. First, you fight Cletien. He's the one that mentions their purpose is to resurrect the High Seraph, quote, or rather to awaken him from the imperfect state in which his former host's death has left him. Former host being, Saint Ajora. I am going to be honest with you guys, I don't really remember most of these fights until the final boss. Like, they're totally unimpactful.
They're nothing. Yeah, they're just flavor text. In the end, you don't even know who you're going to fight until you actually start fighting.
Yeah, same. None of them were really memorable. I think there's one battle, maybe the one directly after this. There was an interesting array of different monsters, a behemoth, a couple hydras, I think. I thought that was interesting just for those types of monsters to be present. But yeah, this is just obstacles purely before we get to the end battle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally agree.
I do think the fight, even though it's a nothing fight, I think the map with like the giant ravine in the middle is pretty cool. But other than that.
Oh, yeah, that's the next one, I think. The Barrich, which, by the way, this guy wrecked me at first. The map is like a giant U, but, well, actually, I guess it looks more like a sideways C, where the empty space is right between you and Barrick himself, so everybody has to go around. I didn't have anybody that could do, like, reliable long-range damage, so everybody went around. But he's got, like, demons and dragons and behemoths. Man, like, this actually did give me some trouble.
Yeah, I was actually experimenting with the teleportation movement ability. So I was actually in a slightly advantageous spot where I was able to get at least one person across the gap. Didn't like turn the tide of battle or anything, but it did make it different. He had to divide his forces a little bit, but yeah, this was a standout if nothing else. I agree.
Well, I'm glad you had success with that. I tried to get my monk to teleport across, and it failed literally every time, to the point where I was like, screw this, like I'm just going to go normally. That teleporting, man, it's risky.
Yeah.
It is.
I had the Ramza with the float boots and his ninja ability, so I was
nice.
good.
Ramza does have a cool line at the end of this, or sometime within this, that has no applications outside of the game, I'm sure. He says, "You think freedom a thing bought and sold? What value a freedom you have not earned? A man who's lost his pride can never be free. You surrendered your own freedom the moment you bowed your head to someone undeserving. Freedom and equality cannot be bartered. They are rights, rights earned with sweat and toil and blood. Freedom is no raiment of Lucavi weave. They tell you you wear cloth of gold, but in truth you stand more naked as before." No reason that I read that. It's just,
Yeah, I don't see how that could be applied to anything at all.
Yeah, it's not an evergreen quote. It's just, it's just good writing, that's all. Yeah, that's like one of the few Ramza lines throughout the game that absolutely stands out and slaps you in the face. Really, really good writing there. Where was this Ramza for the rest of the game?
Right. It's almost like he finally comes into himself just a little too late in the story. I would have loved to have gotten this a little earlier.
Yeah, like his father's dying on his deathbed, and he comes in and he says, "Barbaness," and then tells him that entire line to his dying dad. That would have been great.
All right, we're moving into the final battles of the game, the last two. We're in the airship graveyard, the last three, excuse me. We're in the airship graveyard, which is funny to me because this is where Saint Ajora died, in the airship graveyard, just like the real Jesus. Fulmarv is here, of course. He's standing over Alma's body. He's wondering why she's not awakening, the Virgo that is. And he has an aha moment when we show up. A blood sacrifice needs to be made, just like the real Jesus. So he intends to turn into a Lucavi, which he does, and kill Ramza to make the blood sacrifice. This is Hashmal, the Leo. It's kind of like a buff lion, sort of. I remember this fight being kind of trivial. Like, you got to keep your health up, but really not too bad.
No, same. I remember the damage that was done to you was pretty hefty for the most part, so there was that sort of a threat, but no, I remember next to nothing about this fight myself, so that speaks to how impactful it was, I think.
How is it on the PS1? I admit I don't know a whole lot about the balance differences between the two.
To be fair, I turned on the cheats for this final fight.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah, for this one, I just went, I'm at the end of the game. Nothing I do is going to matter anyways, and I'm going to finish the game regardless. So I just turned on the attack first always and just went to town.
Hell yeah, Chris. That's the spirit. Nothing matters. Fuck it all.
Yes.
I mean, I think having Mustadio go to calculator and not being to use any of the abilities, unless I get it all, really sucked the fart out of this game. So
hell yeah, fuck it all, suck the fart. That's what I say. This is where Alma stirs here. She comes to, and Fulmarv is like, we've come too far. This is bigger than me. So he kills himself. He puts his claws directly into his chest, and he's dead. That's the blood sacrifice she needed. Alma transforms into Saint Ajora, which basically is just Alma's sprite with silver hair, which is particularly confusing because up to this point, Saint Ajora was a male. I was calling Saint Ajora a her throughout because of this scene, because it's like it's Alma. It just looks like Alma, even though the game explicitly says it's a his, he, etc. So it's my mistake, but it's Alma. Maybe it's just like a taking control of the vessel kind of thing, and it's not necessarily a transformation like the body of Christ. I don't know. It doesn't matter. She takes control of Alma here. And she says, I am come once more. Everybody, every single person that shows up and transforms always says, I am come. Wheatgrass said, I am come. Belial said, I am come. Everybody's coming. What's going on? Everyone is come.
Oh my god. You can tell that we're near the end now. Yeah. We're losing it.
But this is our final battle. Alma is able to cry for help. She doesn't want Ajora to take over, and she somehow separates herself from Ajora's body. Now there's two of them. There's Alma and there's Saint Ajora. Turns out Ajora isn't the benevolent prophet after all, so yes, we are going to kill God. Ajora summons 4 demons to fight alongside her demon form, which is Ultima, his demon form. Jeez Louise, Ultima, a red demon angel with its own head. Not even close to being the toughest fight for me. So, I mean, I don't want to say easy, but brainless. I didn't have to think at all.
I mean, you're fighting a red Nissan Altima.
What's the slogan for Nissan? Wait, do they have a slogan? I'm thinking of Kia with the hamsters and shit. Does Nissan have a slogan? Liam Nissans? Is that anything? Is this anything?
The internet says Nissan's slogan is innovation that excites. Well, this battle was not very innovative.
Well, they did take Jesus, turned him into a woman, and gave him a thong, so...
That's true.
Maybe?
This thong matches... this thong exceeds Ramza's thong. There was a post on the Tactics subreddit of somebody getting to this fight in the remaster with both of their ass cheeks facing the camera. And it's true. Ramza's thong is pretty respectable, but Ultima's thong, it's in there. It's flossing.
Innovation that excites.
Yeah, exactly. Ultima has 2 phases. The second phase of Ultima looks kind of just like a standard Lich Demon, you know? Like if you think Lich Demon with like bone armor, it's kind of what you get. Again, not difficult. She does mention, this is crazy, it mentions that it sees, quote, the blood of her vanquisher past in Ramza, which is an insane thing to say at the end and not elaborate on.
Yes, thank you.
This reminds me like Xenosaga, which by the way, I say Xenosaga, I know it's wrong, but Xenosaga does eventually clarify this, but at the very end of episode 1 of the game, in the credits, there's like a picture-in-picture playing while the credits go. They literally introduce something called Abel's Arc. Abel as in Cain and Abel at the very end. And you're just like, what the fuck, man? It's crazy. Why they say this at the end and don't elaborate, I don't know. Would have been very cool. But you beat Ajora, and as Ajora's final form dies, it explodes, and it's the sort of explosion nobody's walking out of. Like, the universe in here collapses in on itself, and hilariously, we then get the battle is won message.
So hold up. So if Ajora says that they have the blood of the vanquisher from before, or however they worded it, and Ajora is technically Jesus, does that mean that Ramza is Pontius Pilate?
What would that... I mean, I suppose if we're doing the literal transliteration, the literal like drawing of the lines, I guess, yeah.
That would have been nice to know at the beginning of the game.
What would that information have helped us with at the beginning of this game?
It's a retelling of Pontius Pilate's life.
I don't remember this being in Jesus Christ
No game has ever done that before.
What are you talking about? But this brings us into the ending, which I was skeptical given how fast-tracked we were. This ending is fan-freaking-tastic. It's very Shakespearean. This whole ending is so Shakespearean to me. And the ending starts with the same track that played at the beginning of the game, Pray. I love that. Cohesive. You're at a funeral at a gravesite, and it's for Alma and also Ramza. They mention that they both died. House Beowulf is no more. Everybody died that was in that last battle. In walks Orin and Valmafra. She's not dead. Now, there's a fan theory online. I'm interested to hear what you guys think about this. There's a fan theory online that said in that last scene, Delita cut her tongue out because throughout this ending, she doesn't speak at all. I don't think I buy it, but I don't think there's any harm in believing it. What do you two think?
That's the first I've heard of it. And yeah, I I was unsure because they don't use the name on the PlayStation 1 version. They don't call her by her name. But I was unsure if it was just one of those character sprite swaps where, this is the only female sprite we have that we can use for this scene. I do find weird that she didn't speak. I also thought it could have just been that they didn't want to have to create a new portrait for this specific character if they wanted it to be a brand new character.
I don't know, maybe it's clearer in the War of the Lions. I think it's pretty clearly Valmafra. It might be different in the PS1, genuinely. I don't know. I thought it was pretty clear. Nomad, you played both of them. Do you remember?
I think I do, and I'm actually, while you two were talking, I was jumping online really quick. When Oren is speaking here, he speaks about Valmafra. And what I found online here is he uses the line, when Valmafra revealed herself for an agent, he made it appear as though he'd killed her, then let her run. So in the PlayStation 1 version, I don't think that can be her because he's talking about her. And I think that goes back to Chris's theory that just might have been a female sprite they decided to use. I think in the War of the Lions version that he doesn't speak in that way, so I think it may be inferred that Valmafra is alive. And then going to what you were saying, Chris, I kind of like the idea that Delita just cut her tongue out. We have nothing to base that off of, so it's a theory through and through. But I could almost see him doing that, even if it's just to further his own ends and keep her loyal to him or keep her at his side in some capacity.
Well, I think it does make sense. I think this is Valmafra. The way that I see Oren talking here, because he kind of gives a lowdown of what happened, I saw it as a combination of him speaking to Ramza. People speak at graves all the time. Even if they're not religious, it's just something comforting to do when it's somebody that you cared about. But it's also this theater technique where a character is explaining something to the audience. And I kind of looked at this as that. It's a combination of he's speaking at the grave of his friend. It's to calm himself, to pay honor to his fallen friend. But it also serves to hey, listeners, hey, readers, here's what happened. Delita and Novelia are wed. They're in charge of the kingdom now. Valmafra's not dead. Does that make sense? Or am I full of baloney?
You might be full of baloney, but that does make sense to me now that you say it like that. I could absolutely see that. I think I've seen that before in writing or even in show and never really put two and two together like that. That makes sense to me.
It would be a easy way to wrap up the story and tie up some major loose ends.
I don't know. I stand by it. I also think there's something to Delita cutting Valmafra's tongue out. It would fit with how malicious he became towards the end, just totally odious in his actions for his own game. I don't necessarily buy it. Oren does I guess letting her live could include cutting her tongue out. I don't know. It's a mystery. This whole ending is nothing but a mystery. It's a Shakespearean mystery, and here's why. As he's mourning, he's wondering what happened to Sid, as we said, his dad. As we said, everybody in there died. And as he's mourning, after Valmafra walks away to give him space, or whoever that is, Ramza and Alma ride by on chocobos. And he shouts at them, but they don't even react to him. And this is what makes it so Shakespearean. Shakespeare is no stranger to ghosts. Not at all. They appear a lot in his plays. And it's is this real? Is this a ghost? Is this a hallucination during a time of great stress and emotion? We don't know. It's totally left up to interpretation, unless you go on the internet. Because, as it turns out, and I'm really curious to hear what you guys think about this, and the listeners too. Let's talk about this in the Discord. On a site called frontlinejp.net, they have compiled some tweets from Matsuno. I love our reality where Twitter tweets from developers becomes official canon. Matsuno, admittedly, when he wasn't with Square, so, is this canon? I think it is because he's the creator. Well, actually, no, I don't. Put a pin in that. Matsuno said the true intention of the ending. Ramza and Alma are alive. Here's the translated tweet. Quote, it seems that many people think that everyone dies in the Final Fantasy Tactics ending, so I've always wanted to convey that everyone actually survived. At that time, I received a request from LOV3, I don't quite know who that is or what that is, So I decided to make it the official setting that everyone, including Ramza, survived. He then wrote a series of tweets when he wasn't affiliated with Square, like I said, saying the previous. He also says that Ramza and Alma set off to join a new resistance in Odalia to create a place for those affected by the war, and that Delita as king may step in to squash that resistance. And he also says this. He says that Ramza surviving is a core theme of the game. Quote, Delita, who had everything, including friendship in a broad sense, but lost love, and Ramza, who lost everything, family background, status, etc., but gained love. The contrasting lives of these two characters was one of the themes of the story. However, since the Delita chapter could not be implemented, it cannot be denied that the punchline was a little confusing. I have a lot of thoughts about this, but I want to give you two the floor first. What's your thoughts on the ending?
You want to go first, Nomad?
Yeah, I'm trying to think how to put this all into words.
If you need some time, like I can go first if you want to gather your thoughts. I've got my shit like ready to go.
Yeah, please lead us off. I think you'll help me out.
No problem. I realize that I put guests in a position that's uncomfortable. I've pre-thought this stuff out, and inviting folks to go first when they haven't thought of it, that can be tough. I've been in that situation too. Here's my take on it. I don't think that's as powerful as what we were talking about, it being left up to interpretation, Shakespearean tragedy. I think it's significantly weaker, and I don't agree that it fits the themes better. One thing at a time. I think the Shakespearean aspect, with the ending being a little bit ambiguous, I think that's always good. It promotes discussion, and as I've talked about countless times on this podcast before, this idea of creating a conversation, interpretation is co-creation, see the Grease episode. This conversation and criticism in conversation with the work, in conversation with Matsuno, creates a new work. This conversation is a new work. Nobody can replicate it. This is ours. If somebody else did their own thing with tactics, it becomes theirs. This is an entirely new entity. And that's what makes ambiguous endings beautiful. It gives you something to talk about, create interpretations based on what you believe happened, and try to back them up. Now, onto the theme. I think the theme is even better if Ramza and Delita, and in that, if everybody is dead. I think it's even stronger. But he is right. It's a circular comparison. Like, Ramza and Delita are the perfect foils. Ramza died having lost everything. He lost his family. He lost his status in the eyes of the church and the public. Every single thing, but he gained the love of his comrades, the love of his sister, and eventually, once the dry papers come out, the love of certain scholars. Delita, on the other hand, gained fame, gained status. He clawed his way up, but he lost love. He lost humanity, and he lost Ovelia. They're the perfect foil. It's a totally inverse relationship. And they bleed into each other, showing the contrasts of human nature, but they both end in complete tragedy. It's almost as if to say, we all will meet that end. We will all die. How will you be remembered? Will you go out like Delita, gaining material wealth but losing your character, degradation of morals? Or will you go out like Ramza, standing up for what you believe in and accomplishing a great goal that is a true vision of altruistic justice, his own life for the sake of, what he believed in? I think it's so much stronger if everybody is dead. If they're just both okay, then what were the stakes? Who cares? It's just a typical fantasy story. Have the guts to kill your characters. I feel like I say that all the time, like I want everybody to die, but it's so much more impactful. It becomes a literal tragedy of the stage, a stage play, a tragedy. I don't know. Like, I would need to be thoroughly convinced that line of thinking is incorrect, or at least not incorrect, is misguided, let's say. I don't know. I've talked at length. So if you guys have thoughts, I would really love to hear them. This ending is so good.
Yeah, listening to you talk gave me a little bit of a time to reflect too, and I largely agree with most everything that you've said. Now, when I was growing up, and even today, I I think it would be more impactful, absolutely, if everybody had died. And I think that would really press upon the message and really those themes that the story is trying to relay at this point. I 100% agree with that. But I still think there may even be some semblance of that, even if they did live. When I was young, I always thought that they were alive, but I still took kind of a message away from it, even though they were alive at the end. But the ending feels timeless regardless, and to me it's because whether they live or they die, there is still that ambiguity there, not of whether they lived or not, but just what comes after. But before you get to that point, what always really stuck with me though is it's just the ending is not really about like who won, who came out on top, who got what they were after, who triumphed over evil or anything like that, because I don't think any of that really truly happened. Just choices were made, and our two main characters, Ramza and Delita, they both did different things to try to get to the same end, and it defined them as characters in such an amazing way. Like, it's less about the victory and more about the kind of world that either of them chose to leave behind. Both of the endings, whether they live or die, are tragic to me, but in opposite ways. Like you said, Rick, Ramza loses his recognition, he loses his name, but he did it for what he felt was the right reasons. He is now, he goes into obscurity more or less, but he stood by his convictions and ultimately decided to do what was right regardless of status. Whereas Delita loses his peace, he almost loses himself really. And it's the perfect commentary on the price of idealism versus ambition, I think. That's largely what I take away, regardless of whether or not Ramza, Alma, and the rest of them are alive or dead. That was the big thing for me, and just seeing that stark contrast between the two of them. It's tragic to me whether or not the characters are alive or not, but I do agree it would be more poignant if they were to have perished, I think. I think that would have made the narrative come kind of full circle. And regardless of how you look at this game, it is a tragedy through and through. And maybe you get some glimpses of some goodness. That instance you talked about before with Mustadio and Agrius kind of talking to each other in the tavern, those little moments of light here and there. But largely this game is shrouded in darkness, and it's all the better for it, I think. So yeah, I hope that comes off cohesive, but that's a lot of what I take away when I think of the ending of this game.
Yeah, I think we're largely on the same page. I mean, whether or not everybody dies is the theatrical element, but the narrative element is the idea of what you said, the difference between idealism and thirst for power, right? And how that's reflected in the way you get to it and the society you leave behind. I think that makes sense. I think that was cohesive.
Awesome.
What about you, Chris? What do you think?
The best way that I can describe my thoughts on that particular scene is that this game has been very literal with what it shows you. I'm pretty sure they would have found a way to make them look ghostish or illusion-y or whatever you want to call them if they were truly dead. So to me, what you see is what you get. Having gone through this whole ordeal of having to fight the church, having to fight these people that were destroying the entire continent, and be able to finally save your sister, and all you want to do is just be in peace at this moment. To me, them going to the funeral is a final goodbye to everything they've been through, this land that they grew up in and everything, and just going off into their future, which, like the creator said, they went off to another land and started helping with a rebellion and whatnot. With the story that's been told so far and everything that the game says, to me, it feels right. There could be a continuation to it. But I am one of those people that, I really like when a character dies at the end. One of my favorite games of all time has that happen at the end, and holy shit, it's a super powerful moment to the point where I unlocked every single ending for the game because I wanted to see how they differentiated and, what happens to the characters and whatnot. I think I never really considered that it would be open to interpretation, where some people would consider that they were actually dead. Some people would consider that they were alive. To me, it was always black and white. They're alive. They're just leaving on to continue with their lives. So honestly, if they did die and that was just an illusion from Orlando, I mean, it's fine either way. To me, it doesn't take away anything from the powerful message and the wonderful story that this game has told throughout its entire runtime.
I totally respect that. It sounds like for both of you, the minutia is in, the fate of the characters, but the message is ultimately what's important. I agree with you. I totally do. I think maybe I place a little more importance on the minutia. Maybe that just comes from me being a big fan of theater. I don't know, doing musicals forever, really liking opera, that kind of stuff. Yeah, and there's even an interpretation too, like you just alluded to, Chris, that it could just be a hallucination of Oren, which is particularly interesting because as we're about to hear, Oren is the one that wrote the Durai papers. Side note, I also really like that neither of you leaned on Matsuno's words as gospel, like you mentioned them, but that opens up an entirely different conversation that I know we've had on this show before, that idea of death of the author, right? Think of that very famous Roland Barthes essay that I think started this whole movement, essentially talking about how when a work is created and put into the world, it becomes its own entity and is up for it, and it is independent of the author. I kind of fall in on that camp. Like, I don't think we should just discard the author's, ideas and intents and inspirations. Like, that's definitely important. But, I'm thinking about my music background too, like with Bach and Chopin. If you just played exactly what's on the page, it's going to come off very flat. Everybody has to add their own interpretation, and that's part of what makes music incredible. Interpretation discussions are totally contentious, especially with Bach. There's everybody plays Bach differently. Everybody has very strong opinions. Like, there's this violinist that I really love. I'm probably going to mispronounce his name, Gideon Kramer. And his work on Bach is either love it or hate it. I think it's very fascinating and very risky. I'm a big fan. But it's kind of the same thing, right? Like, that those works live independent of Bach. And it's a little easier with that because, like, they're dead. Long dead, so like this conversation doesn't happen. Like with living writers, like I don't know, Don DeLillo, he's still alive. Matsuno, of course, Sakaguchi, Cohen brothers. These folks that are alive and can weigh in. Like, hey, this is what I meant. This is what I didn't mean. But I think and that's important. You should maybe listen to them. But I don't think it's the gospel. I'm sorry, soapbox over. But I think that's cool that you guys didn't lean on that. Sorry for the soapbox. It happens every episode. I apologize.
It's fine. I mean, if the game wouldn't make us want to talk about it like this, then was it even worth playing?
Hear, hear. Yeah, well said.
Yeah, agree.
There's a little ending tag here that's written on the screen along some still images. I'm just going to read it. Ramza and his sister were not seen again. Oren Durai was left to ponder the mark they had left on history's page. Quote, I know not what brings men joy. Of what drives them to great deeds, of what legacies they hope to leave, I know less yet. But I do know this. The true hero of this tale was the man forgotten. End quote. Oren would spend the next half-decade assembling an account of all to which he had borne witness. His work complete, Oren presented this account, the Durai papers, before the Clemensian Council, then convened for the selection of a new high confessor. However, the church, fearing above all else the revelation of the truth, seized Oren as a heretic and burnt him at the stake. The pen that inked them forever stilled. The papers then lay hidden for long centuries, forgotten even by the church that had concealed them. But I have found the truth, and so lay it bare for all to see. His deeds might guide generations yet to come, that his name might receive the honor it is due. And this is all attributed to Eraslam Durai, Oren's descendant. How cool. Poor Oren. Everybody's dying. That's all very fascinating. I think that's cool to have a historical context. I know we're running a bit long. I really want to get into this epilogue because, talk about Shakespearean tragedy. This has it written all over it. Can we talk about the epilogue?
Oh, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Delita and Ovelia at the Zeltenia Castle ruins. It's not clear how much time has passed, although given what's about to happen, I would assume not much. Delita comes in, everybody's looking for her. He says, "Where have you been?" He pulls out this bouquet because it's her birthday, but he barely gets the words out before she stabs him. She says, "How could you? You used them, like all the others, and someday you'll cast me aside, just as you did him." Pretty clear now, right? Like, Delita used her to get to the crown. I think at this point it's unquestionable. And she's right. Like, he promised her several times over that he loves her. Immediately, Delita says nothing. He pulls the knife out and stabs her back in the stomach, and she's dead immediately. She just falls. And as he's dying, he says, "Did you get your end in all this, Ramza? I got this." This is the true foil. And like, as I mentioned, Matsuno saying they live in opposition, I totally agree. I kind of said all of that earlier. This is the cool thing, though. I really do believe Delita loved her, despite it all. I think he truly did. I think he was just so... He succumbed to perversion and was beguiled by power in such a way that it distorted his worldview. And in the end, his version of loving her bore so many rotten fruits and caused so much pain to others, even to her, and he didn't even realize it. He was too far gone. His love was there, yes, but it was totally warped, and I know I said perverted already. It was totally distorted. And I think that's what makes this so tragic, is he did love her, truly. And I think she did too, and that's part of why she was so hurt and betrayed by this. I don't know, man. This is like classic tragedy on the stage. What an ending. What an ending. And, you know, if you're taking my interpretation, everybody's dead. True tragedy. Everyone's dead. It's really beautiful. It's really poignant. I love this ending so much.
But in that same article that you shared with us on Discord, the director said that Ovelia's not dead, that she dies later of heartbreak or something like that. She pulls a Padme.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, if that's what Matsuno intended, that's fine, but it's not in the work itself.
I like more the she dies right there when he stabs her.
I mean, geez, where else have we seen two forlorn lovers, star-crossed lovers, die due to a grave misunderstanding in a very famous play? I wonder.
No idea.
I mean, I don't know. A play by any other name probably still reads as well. All right, I'm done. I don't know it well enough to make any other jokes.
I prefer Final Fantasy Tactics. There's more stabbing in this one.
Oh yeah, stabbing aplenty. I don't know. It wasn't until I finished the game as an adult that I really sat and really tried to take this particular portion of the ending in. It was really lost on me as a child, I think, but it's so tragic. Like, thinking about it now just breaks my heart. I mean, Delita climbs to the top, marries the princess, the queen, I'll say, becomes king, but really at the end of the day, he's completely and utterly alone, it seems like. And the moment that Ovelia stabs him, it's like his entire rise just collapses emotionally. Like, it's to a point where he's okay with everything that he's done through the sacrifices that he's made, the manipulation he's done. He's fine with it. And I feel like the moment that knife pierces his gut, it just all comes crumbling down. Like, at the end of the day, he got everything that he wanted. He got status, control, power, but he lost everything that mattered to him along the way, whether he realized it or not. And when I look at Ramza now, having saw his scene and everything, Delita's remembered by history, sure, but it's for all the wrong reasons, one could argue. Delita's tragedy is that he becomes the very kind of ruler that he once tried to fight against, the things that he kind of spoke against. He wanted to fix Ivalice, but he ends up perpetuating the same cycle of lies and betrayal, and truly, he is dead in this moment. I agree. It's so powerful and poignant. Like, I'll never look at a game like this like I'm looking at Tactics now, I think.
And even if he's not dead in that moment, the death of the body... the death of his soul, of his morality, of his character, that died long ago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and in some ways, that's more tragic. I mean, It's a tragedy no matter how you look at it. Man, what a good game. This is such an adult Final Fantasy. You both have mentioned until I was an adult. This is a really, I mean, as far as Final Fantasies go, this is probably the most adult one. Other games like 6, like 9, like 10, they touch on adult themes, but around it, it's anime. It's Saturday anime. And don't get me wrong, I love anime. I just finished My Dear Friend Nokatan. Really, really good. But this game, it's just so nuanced and confident in what it's doing. And I think some folks will be like, well, yeah, what about 16? And I think the way 16 tried to be adult is it tried to add in sex. It tried to add in profanity. It tried to add in this brooding main character and the Tetsuya Nomura belts and dark, edgy, and great cinematic kaiju fights. That's all well and good, but that's a different kind of adult. If that's adult, then this game is mature. Do you know what I mean? This game is trusting the readers, the players, to read in between the lines, to make assumptions, to make inferences, to make leaps of logic, to understand symbolism and these motifs that are in actual literature and plays. And I can't say whether or not the Japanese is like this or if this was just the incredible work of the localizers. I truly do not know. But what we got in War of the Lions English version, I think it stands up to any Final Fantasy in the series. And is honestly, as far as JRPGs go, one of the most mature I've ever played. Definitely one of my favorites. Like I said, it jumped into my top 3 pretty handily. I don't know. Game is really freaking good, man.
Yeah. This is a game that I played when I was 12 or 13, and a lot of the scenes have stuck with me since then. I don't remember games that I played 2 months ago, and Final Fantasy Tactics has been a game that I've remembered for a very long time. And like you said, yeah, it is very adult because, like we've all been saying, we played it as a kid, and now as an adult, I understand it more, and I get some of the smaller nuances better. Like, I didn't remember at all that Delita got stabbed at the end, and that his line about asking Ramza what he got, because that meant nothing to me as a kid. As an adult, yeah, that's a great point in which to end the game. This game is it's magic, and again, that magic is what makes me wish that it didn't have all of the crazy Final Fantasy anime bullshit that it has with the Lucavi and the power of the stones and all that shit. Everything else around it is just so fantastic and so well done.
Yeah, man. I tend to agree. This is great stuff. I'm really glad you two agreed to do this with me. Worked out great. This has been one of my favorite series we've done on the show. I think it's no secret this is going to make it into my top 10 games of the year. Damn, man, just really good. And I'm going to keep trucking through the remaster because I'm having a great time. I haven't played it in a while. I just finished chapter 1. But it's good stuff. Great game. Definitely, if you somehow got to the end and you've never played it, now you know everything. I mean, go experience it for yourselves. It'll tell you the story way better than any of us could. Or at least better than I could. Thank you, gentlemen. I cannot thank you enough. And thank you, listeners. If you're new to the show, well, I mean, you couldn't have picked a better one. Hope you enjoy the rest of it. You two, Nomad Chris Nomad, what's new? We're recording this right before it comes out. So it's been a little bit since we've last recorded. Anything new going on? Retro Wildlands, consoles and stuff, novel console, general life?
Well, a novel console, I get to go up to Georgia this weekend, so I'm going to set up the computer for the wife so that she can record and we can record remotely, so pretty excited about that. And consoles and stuff, trying to do at least one giveaway every week over on Encore. You can find the Encore link over at consolesnstuff.com. And all our links to everything else. Right now, I'm just buy. So if you have anything you want to get rid of, any video game for any console, especially Pokemon, I love Pokemon stuff. Just let me know. Shoot me a message, an email at consoleandstuff@gmail.com, and tell me what you got. I'll make you an offer. I'm paying about 70 to 80% depending on what you're selling, and I pay for shipping, so you don't even have to worry about going to the post office and being like, I need to mail this there, and sending it to the wrong place, because that has happened before. But yeah, buying video games. Sell me your games.
I may have to reach out to you at some point, Chris. My collection, while big, there is some things that maybe I need to trim down, so we'll talk after this, you and I.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Over in the Retro Wildlands, since we talked last, I believe, I can't remember the timing, but I just dropped an podcast episode, where I highlighted my top 10 favorite spooky video games, right in time for Halloween. This episode, I will say, is probably one of my personal favorites, just because I've been doing the solo podcasting gig for a while, and not to pat myself on the back or anything, but I think I've gotten pretty decent at editing audio, inserting music and sound. My boy listened to this episode and said that he was legitimately creeped out by the sounds and the music I put in, so it's going to be really fun for those that do partake. So you can check out the Retro Wildlands podcast wherever you get your pods. You can also check out our new website, theretrowildlands.com, where I have episodes up there as well. And then I'm also dabbling in some written reviews, blog style. I just recently put a review of a charming little video game, not retro per se, but a game called Theatrhythm: Final Bar Line, the Final Fantasy rhythm game that is my new obsession. Fantastic game, especially if you like Final Fantasy music. If you want to read about it with a little bit of music in there, check that out on the website too. But that's what I've been up to. So yeah, lots of cool stuff.
Man, that game has been on my backlog forever. I looked up gameplay just to see a couple tracks, and it looks super cool. I'm going to have to give that a shot, man.
I never knew how to pronounce that name.
I had to listen to a bunch of videos for people pronouncing it, but yeah, I think either of you would really, really like it. It's one of those games where if I'm just having a bad day and I need to cheer myself up, I'll play a game, or I'll play a couple songs, or if I just need to put myself in a mood to just get shit done, I'll throw on a battle theme or two from some of my favorite Final Fantasy games, and it hits the spot in such a special way.
Cool. Good Rex. Good looking out. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you fellas. You folks listening can find all of their stuff in the episode description. Along with their stuff, their links, you can find links to the stuff that I found helpful in checking out for these episodes, including the new blog press that has the localization, translation comparisons. You can also find links to all of Pixel Project Radio's stuff. You can find a link to our free Discord. Would love it if you came by to chat about the game. It's a lot of fun. We've got links to all of our socials, Blue Sky and Instagram primarily. We've also got a link to our Patreon if you're so inclined, if you want extra episodes, and if you just want to support the show. Be much appreciated. All of that in the episode description, plus a little blurb about what this episode is. But if you've already listened to it, you kind of know the rundown. All right, folks. Once again, thank you, listeners. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Nomad. It's been a real pleasure. Stick around for our next series on The Last of Us Part 2. Talk about a game where you're driven by righteousness that may or may not be true. My name is Rick. As always, I am your host. We're signing off for now. See you later.